In this episode, you will learn about creative burnout, how to recognize it, and 5 tips to fix it once and for all. Welcome creators, artists, smart professionals, and all those ready to take action and create a passion-centered lifestyle. This is another episode of the Creative Action Podcast. I'm your host, Bruno Flow. Let's unlock greater levels of flow, freedom, and fulfillment together. Creative burnout is difficult. Burnout in general is difficult, but if it is a creative burnout, it's more difficult because the thing that you cannot stand doing anymore is your art, is your craft, is your creation. And if you are like me, that's what gives you meaning in your life, what gives you motivation to move forward. That's the good part of being a creative, and also is the difficult part. When you don't have that anymore, when you stop enjoying what you love because you are in this burnout mode, that can be rough. That can be rough for sure. So the first thing I want to say to you, if you are experiencing this kind of burnout state right now, is that I understand you. You are not alone. I completely relate to what you are going through right now because it happened to me a lot of times. It's the kind of personality I have. Maybe just today I was researching about burnout and I found something very interesting about the high risk population of burnout. The people that are more committed, that are more ambitious and more concerned with productivity, efficiency, moving forward, entrepreneurs, the kind of person, probably like you, like me, type A personality behavior, those are the most vulnerable. So if you are this kind of person that you set goals for yourself, you push forward, you are in this highly vulnerable population. One of the things we need to make sure is that what you are going through right now is exactly burnout, because maybe it's not burnout, maybe it's something different, maybe it's depression, I don't know, there are lots of different mental health problems. So I'm going to review very quickly what's burnout in general, and then I will lay out what is creative burnout. The World Health Organization added burnout to his International Classification of Diseases very recently in 2022. It defines burnout as a syndrome resulting from chronic workplace stress that hasn't been successfully managed. There are 3 dimensions. Number 1, feelings of energy depletion and exhaustion. Number 2, increased mental distance from one's job. Number 3, feelings of negativism or cynicism related to one's job. So creative burnout is a different flavor of this. This is about your art, your craft, and this can erode your sense of self-worth very quickly. It can make you feel like you are constantly failing, and that's debilitating for sure. This can be hard. This can feel hard because this burnout is linked to your passions. There are 3 groups of symptoms. I will tell the first group: exaggerated somatic arousal. If you feel tension, irritability, sleep impairment, above normal blood levels of cortisol, well, probably you cannot see that because you don't have a meter for that. Second group, impaired executive functioning, poor memory, poor concentration, poor attention. And third group is mostly feelings of helplessness, hopelessness, powerlessness, low self-esteem, cynicism, dissatisfaction, distress, ineffective coping, difficulties with work-related demands. If you are experiencing those, if you are inside the vulnerable population for burnout, and if you have the intuition that maybe this is burnout, if you are not enjoying your art, your craft anymore, yes, maybe you are experiencing creative burnout. I want to give you 5 tips for this moment, just very humbly. My first recommendation is number 1, self-awareness. Recognize your situation. You had to recognize you are inside this state. This is the number one thing, self-awareness. If you are in this burnout, you will feel dark thoughts in your mind. That's how it works. There is a very cool quote from Amelia Nagoski, co-author of Burnout, The Secret to Unlocking the Stress Cycle. She says, burnout is the experience of feeling overwhelmed and exhausted by everything you had to do, yet still somehow worried about not doing enough. This is the self-demanding aspect of burnout because you are not exactly being compassionate with yourself. While in burnout, the most typical thing is that you are very judgmental about not being able to move forward. You feel like you are going backwards. You feel like you are not moving towards your goals, and you feel this sense of guilt around that. You need to recognize if you are in this burnout that you will feel dark thoughts in your mind. That's how it works. You will feel like you are useless. That's how it works. But that doesn't mean that you are actually that. It's because you have this emotional state right now that makes you think in this way. Right now, you don't have energy, you don't have clarity to think properly because your brain is like intoxicated by different chemicals that are making you think in this way, only allowing you to see the shit and not seeing how valuable you are, all the talents you have, and how much progress you have been doing until this moment, which is a lot. Okay? It's a lot of progress. If you are willing to see that, you will recognize that you are doing actually pretty well. But you push too hard for a bit and then you pass the threshold. I know you are on the other side, the side of burnout, and well, it's difficult. It's difficult. I know. And you may feel compelled to make decisions right now like, I would quit my job, I would escape to an island, not see anyone anymore. You will have those kind of thoughts. You will feel compelled to indulge in self-destructive behavior like maybe alcohol, drugs. If you smoke weed, well, you will feel inclined to smoke more weed, and that's probably not a good idea because you are escaping what you are feeling, and that's exactly the point. That's exactly the point. Burnout wants you to face your situation, wants you to accept who you are right now, which is also you. You are also this person that is struggling, that is not achieving anything. That's also you. As a high achiever, this is super difficult to accept that you are also this version of yourself that sucks. It's super difficult. It's super difficult, but we are not always winning. Number 2, get support. Okay, this is another very important tip. Spend time with loved beings and ask them for support. Ask them for help, for advice. Ask them to listen to you, to give you feedback about your thoughts, because you will believe the things that you are thinking, obviously, because that's how we operate. But in this state is not recommended to trust your intuition, because your intuition will tell you shit that you are not good for anything, that you don't are worthless. So don't listen to that. And if you wanna really check if you are right, check your thoughts with your loved beings, and they will tell you what they see from outside. Ask them for honest feedback. You need to hear those things at this moment. You need to open yourself to be vulnerable. Ask for professional help. Start therapy. Start going to a psychologist. Start working with a counselor. Try to test different approaches. You have nothing to lose, to be honest. Worst case scenario, the Therapist gives you some meds and you don't take them. Worst case scenario. You still have the choice to follow their advice or not. Number one tip was recognizing your situation, self-awareness. Number two is get support from professionals, from your loved beings, your friends. And number three is remove pressure. Now that you recognize your situation, now that you have support from your peers, your loved beings, now focus on removing pressure, because right now you feel a lot of pressure and your system is not able to handle all that pressure. So try to diminish your work responsibilities to the minimum necessary. They are not a priority right now. So set clear boundaries between work mode and life mode. Separate life from work in a very deliberate way. I will suggest you to make a list of all your commitments and try to identify what commitments are unnegotiable. Strike through all those that are negotiable that you can start doing in the future. If you are struggling with this, ask help from a friend that may help you to recognize what is a priority or not, or maybe from your therapist or your coach or whatever. Number 4. This is the tip number 4. Don't be stubborn and take care. Right now, the priority is to take care of yourself, okay? That's the priority. You need to prioritize sleep, number 1. You need to prioritize physical activity, some kind of exercise, getting outside, and also practicing relaxation. Like practice to relax, because you are very tense. You are in this state of tension right now. So you can practice any kind of activity that relaxes you, or maybe go to a yoga class, or get some massage, or ask a friend to give you a massage, or your wife or your husband. That would be the number 1 priority after removing pressure, after getting support, and after recognizing your situation. Take care of yourself. Don't be stubborn. Sleep impairments are super related to burnout. So it's highly likely that you got into burnout because of not sleeping properly, not resting properly. Right now in this situation, sleep will feel probably hard, because that's one of the symptoms of burnout. But do your best to relax and have a good sleep, and try to stay in bed and recover your energy. And lastly, tip number 5, practice self-compassion. This is vital. This saved me from all my experiences with burnout. This is when you practice self-compassion, healthy coping mechanisms. I will give you a few ideas. Feel free to explore with whatever feels right for you. You can try to do things that connect you to a state of joy, because that's what you are not able to experience right now probably. You are not able to connect to joy, to enjoy the simple things. Remember what things brought you joy. Probably you will need to do things that are different to your creative outlet, because maybe trying to engage in your craft right now would be a bit difficult or hard. Then also the practice of self-acceptance. When you are in bed and you are resting, practice to relax your body, pay attention to your breath, and practice to accept everything. Accept all your shitty thoughts, all the pain you feel, as if you would be taking care of a child who's crying. You know? If you see a child who's injured, who's crying, will you be rough with him? No, you will be very gentle. You will be loving with this child. And you are not different. We are originally childs. We are still kids, especially if you are a creator. You know that. You have the same core as you had when you were a child, the curiosity, everything. So this is an opportunity to reconnect with that part of yourself, to embrace yourself. If you're a man, maybe it's more difficult to connect to your emotions because of the social conditioning, but this is very much needed for you right now to embrace yourself, to practice this self acceptance. And another idea I want to give you, this is something I do to heal, is practice shameless crying. If you feel you need to cry, please do it. Crying is a fast track to release any emotional trauma you may have and heal your system. Don't be shy about this. Don't be shy about using music, movies, or whatever it is that you need to trigger this crying, to provide yourself a good platform for this emotional release. Obviously, make sure that you are in a safe space or with loved beings that are open enough to see you in your most vulnerable state, because that's the idea. The idea here is to allow yourself to break down completely. Release all barriers, at least during this period in which you decide to release the pain. It's not that if you cry, you will spiral down into a worse situation. That's one of the fears that blocks most people from crying. It's actually the opposite. If you cry, you will release oxytocin and good stuff in your brain. Your brain will like it. If you are more into energetical perspectives, it is like you are literally cleaning yourself, cleaning your body, your emotional body. When going through a very deep spiritual crisis, I was crying literally every single day for a few months. I lived my life, and when I was going to bed, I would have my crying session, I call it. That was the only way to cope with the existential despair I was facing. At the same time, I was releasing and grieving a lot of emotional baggage I had stored, and that was very helpful. That's why I always recommend to cry. It's like I think about it like it's the same as peeing. If there is stuff that needs to get out of your body, and why would you retain it? So I encourage you to cry, shake, release all your emotions, anger, frustration, whatever it is that you have. If you are not able to do it, search for a therapist, obviously, that can guide you through this process. Also, you can baby step it, open yourself to the experience, and release that pain little by little. Practice shameless crying. Try to cry without judgment. I recommend it. Cry as if it was just a mechanism, an impersonal consequence. It works and it's free. So these were my 5 tips if you are going through this very hard situation of burnout or creative burnout. Number 1, self-awareness, recognize your situation. Number 2, get support. Number 3, remove pressure, at least momentarily. Number 4, don't be stubborn and take care. Prioritize sleep, engage in physical activity, and practice relaxation. Number 5, practice self-compassion. That's almost everything I have to say for you at this point, and I truly encourage you to go through all these tips. I want you to know that you are not alone. If you are struggling with this, if maybe you don't have anyone that can listen to what you're going through, send me a message. Send me a message. I will listen to what is it that you are going through, and I will do my best to aid you in this very hard part that you are experiencing. I wish you get out of this. You can do this. This is just a stage for you, and you will get stronger out of this. You will get more wiser out of this, but you need to be smart. You need to be smart and do the right movements, prioritize your recovery so you can get back to your passion and to your projects with a new and renewed sense of purpose and wisdom. So that's my wish. You can book a clarity session for free in the website if you are compelled to do it. Book a clarity session and we can talk about what are your challenges right now and if I can actually help you on this particular stage. I wish you the best, have an excellent week, and stay safe.